Bruce, and thank you so much for joining me back here. Guys, today we're going to do my March wrap-up, my March reading wrap-up. I am so happy with how my March reading went. This is the most I've ever read in 1 month, I do believe. In March, I read 29 books, almost a book a day. Never even been close to that. So I am so happy. The majority of them were ebooks, specifically rom-coms. I read a ton of rom-coms this month. Majority of them were rom-coms. I'll get into that, but the fact that they were ebooks made it a lot easier to read. So many last month, I would just put my earbud in and listen to a book throughout the day while I was playing with my son or cleaning the house, you know, whatever it is, you know, the stay-at-home moms do. But that's besides the point. I don't want this video to be too long because I do have almost 30 books to talk about. First thing, I'm going to talk about the books that were not rom-coms, because when I say I read a lot of rom-coms, only like 5 of them were not. So I'm going to talk about those first, and then I'll get into my list of rom-coms. I don't have the individual copies of this book. I do have the trilogy, like all-in-one set. I read the first Lord of the Rings book, The Fellowship of the Ring. It's the second time I've ever read these. I'm listening to them on audiobook. I'm going slowly through them. I just want to take my time with them. I'm not forcing myself to read it if I'm not in the mood for it, which is why I'm not done with the series yet. I'm currently on the second one, but I did read the first one, or at least finish the first one in March. And I have to say I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, than I remembered the first time around. The first time I ever read these was in middle school, and I think the reading was, the language and everything was way above my reading levels, went over my head. As an adult, I appreciated it a lot more. I liked it a lot more. Tom Bombadil, still kind of like a lull for me. I remember it being kind of a lull the first time. Same thing in the second. I'm not going to say I'm glad they didn't put it in the movies, because I think it would have added more to the movies, but at the same time, it's fine without it, I guess. I know some hardcore Lord of the Rings fans are going to come at me for that, but overall, I did really enjoy the first one again. The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout also came out in March. This is book 4 of From Blood and Ash, of the Blood and Ash series. It was fine. I did a whole reading vlog on this if you want more in-depth thoughts. It is full of spoilers, just to be known, but it was fine. The beginning was kind of drawn out. The end was good. The last couple of chapters, I was like on the edge of my seat just wanting to finish the book, so it was good. Go check out my reading vlog if you want more about it. And then these. Okay, I read The Scholomance by Naomi Novik. If you're not new to my channel, you're not new to Naomi Novik. I love her. I haven't read anything by her that I don't enjoy yet. She wrote Uprooted and Spinning Silver. These two. She has another series that I bought that I plan to try here soon. So I read A Deadly Education and The Last Graduate. Wrecked my heart. I can't wait for the next one. I, for some reason, thought it was already out. I thought this series, this trilogy, whatever it's going to be, was complete. I was wrong. It doesn't come out until September. I was so mad. I spent all evening, all night, all the next day just thinking about how this one ended. I'm not going to say because I don't want to give spoilers, but gosh, okay. Needless to say, I pre-ordered the last one. What's it called? The Golden Enclaves. I pre-ordered it. Give it to me. September can't come fast enough. Just a quick little summary. Our main character is named Galadriel. Everybody calls her Elle. Ironically enough, I was reading this at the same time as I was reading Fellowship of the Ring, Lord of the Rings. So when they said her name was Galadriel, I was like, oh, that's a Lord of the Rings name. And then later on in the book, she explains like, hey, yeah, that's where my mom got it from. So I thought that was a little interesting. Just two different paths of my life just crossing just from that. Anyways, her name is Elle. And in this world, I don't know what they're called, wizards? I don't know. They have magic. Okay, people in this world have magic. And they have to use like mana. Is that what it's called? Yeah, mana. Okay. I thought so. I just wanted to make sure. So they have mana that they have to build up to use the magic. It's kind of like a, I don't know, I don't know, like a pot full of magic that you have to draw from to use. So once a wizard like hits a certain age, the mana draws in Maleficaria, I think is how you say it, which are basically just monsters that feed on the mana. So to protect the children, they send them to the Scholomance, which is the school in this world, where it's difficult. There are wards placed on the school to where those monsters have a tougher time getting in. They're still there. They still get in, and kids die, and they constantly have to watch their back and put up wards and charms and protection spells and all that kind of stuff to protect themselves throughout their day. But so basically the school's trying to kill them is what she makes it out to be. And it's just about her trying to graduate, trying to survive school so she can graduate and go out into the real world and live her life. She is like I don't want to say a dark person. I love her. But her powers, her affinity is for like destruction. Her spells, her affinity for spells are destruction spells. So anytime she gets an assignment, it's for like, here's 50 ways to kill somebody, or here's a spell to erupt a super volcano or something like that. So interesting. So interesting. There's a little bit of romance in here. Nothing explicit or anything like that, I wouldn't say. It's sweet. It's sweet. I loved it. I love her. She's so witty. She's so sarcastic. I love her. I can't wait. I can't wait until the next one. All right, that's besides the point. I think I talked about that one enough. I love it. I love it. I can't wait for the next one. Coke Zero Vanilla. Not really a huge pop person, soda, whatever you want to call it. We drink a lot of water in this household. Guilty pleasure. Moving on to all of the rom-coms I read this month, last month, and is currently April last month. Guys, I'm so giddy right now. I'm so happy with how my March reading went. In case you can't tell, my voice keeps cracking. Anyways, first rom-com I read last month was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This one's pretty popular. I know a lot of people like this one. It was good. I liked it. It kind of invoked this love almost for rom-coms. I thought it was fun. I will say I tried to watch the movie. My husband was not home a lot last month. So after I put the kids to bed, I had a few hours just for myself. You know how it goes. So I rented the movie on Amazon and I started to watch it, and I could not do it. I could not do it. I can't say that I recommend the movie. I recommend the book. Can't say I recommend the movie. Every time there was like any kind of romantic scene, they would play this really dramatic music, and I was just like, this is so cringy to me. So cringy to me. And the main character, the man, what's his name? I've read so many this month, I'm not going to get names right. The main male protagonist was not what I pictured. Was not what I pictured. So the movie just threw me off. Read the book, don't watch the movie. Next up, I read The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. Good book. Two people who, enemies to lovers, two people who don't like each other go on a honeymoon together because the original couple couldn't go on it, so they kind of take their place and go on a honeymoon together. It's kind of easy to figure out what happens from there. I read a lot of Christina Lauren to see if I liked them. Next was In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. I have to say, I don't think they're for me. I know they write a whole lot of romance, but I read a few books last month and I don't think they're for me, but this one was actually pretty cute. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. Ooh. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. The girl kind of gets in a crash and then wakes up like a week before that day that what the crash was, and she gets to play over her holiday vacation. And on her holiday vacation, her family and a couple other families get together in a cabin. I just burped, excuse me. Maybe I won't do any more pop in this video until I'm done. They get together in a cabin and spend Christmas together, and she's in love with one of the sons in one of the other families, and so she gets to relive her holiday to try to figure out how to be with him. So it was cute. Next by them, I read The Soulmate Equation. It was fine. I think this is the book that really solidified that they are not for me. I found myself just really wanting to get to the end of it because, not because I wanted to find out what happened, but just because I was like, all right, I'm over it. I want to move on to something else. In this one, there's a dating app that you can send in, like, it's kind of like the 23andMe or whatever it is, where you send in like a spit sample and they give you back like your DNA result type things. It's kind of like that, but for dating. So you send it in and apparently something in like your DNA tells you that you could be compatible with other people. And that's kind of what this one is about. It was fine. It was fine. Next up, I read, these aren't rom-coms, but they are romances. These are 3 Amish romances. I read 3 Amish romances by Jennifer Beckstrand. If you're familiar with my channel, you're familiar with her. She writes a lot of Amish romances. I read a ton of them last year. I read the Honeybee Sister trilogy by her. The first one, Sweet as Honey. The second one, A Bee in Her Bonnet. The third one, Like a Bee to Honey. I read all 3 of these last month. I listened to them on audiobook. Not my favorite. I definitely prefer The Matchmakers of Huckleberry Hill or the Petersham Brothers, whatever they're called, the Peanut Butter Brothers, whatever they're called. I definitely prefer those 2 series to this one. I don't know if this was her first one or not, but it was not as good to me. It follows 3 sisters who run like a honeybee farm. And yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I preferred the other ones more. The sisters in these were not as relatable to me, I guess. I didn't find the protagonist as enticing. The characters were not as compelling to me. Okay, next I read a series called The Love Clichés by Emma St. Clair, another author I found that I really, really enjoy. I want to read more by her. I like her romance. They're kind of almost clean romances. There's not a whole lot of like smut or anything in there. I don't remember any smut actually, which I liked. I like clean romances, and so I liked her writing. There was one couple in one of these that actually waited until they were married, which I thought was awesome. I don't really see that a whole lot in romances, and I loved it. So the first one is Falling for Your Best Friend's Twin. I don't remember. This one might be the one that they wait until they're married. They're love cliches. So basically the title is what it is. Falling for Your Best Friend's Twin. Number 2 is Falling for Your Boss. Number 3, Falling for Your Fake Fiance. They pretend to be married, or yeah, they pretend to be married, you know, are engaged, I guess, and they fall in love. Number 4 was The 12 Holidays. This one was technically like a novella. It was like a spin-off. There's 5 main best friends, right? 5 main best friends. And then this one was about another friend of that group, but wasn't one of the main 5, if that makes sense. It was kind of a novella. It was sweet though. And this one, it's still like a best friend to lovers type thing. That's the trope of this one. Number 5 is Falling for Your Best Friend. And then number 6 is Falling for Your Enemy. I would recommend reading these in order because they do follow all of the same characters. And so I started with number 6. I wanted some enemies to lovers romances. And so I found this one not realizing it was part of a series, and I read it. And so the epilogue is kind of like a conclusion of all of the best friends when they're older. So I kind of got spoiled a little bit unintentionally. So read these in order if you do want to read them. I want to do a video about them just in general, talking more in depth, but read them in order if you want to actually get the full experience, I think. Then I read Shipped by Angie Hockman. This is kind of an enemies to lovers, workplace romance type thing. The main character wants a promotion. The guy protagonist, male interest, wants a promotion. He works remotely though, so they've never met each other, and they both work for like a travel type thing that does cruises, like a travel company in charge of cruises. And so they both want this promotion. Their boss is like, okay, go on this cruise, get the full experience, make a proposal for me, and we'll choose who gets the promotion. So they meet on the cruise together and they work together, and she thinks she hates him, and then she figures out, hey, he's not so bad. You know how it goes. I also listened to The Date Swap by Lydia Westing. This was kind of a shorter one as well. This gave me the Honeymooners vibe, that both people, the male and the female protagonist, are both going to weddings in Hawaii, but they're going to 2 separate weddings, and neither of them have a date. So they're like, hey, we'll be each other's date, and then they try to convince their families that they're together. So she brings him, and she's like, hey, this is a boyfriend that I've been with for a while. They're lying. And then he brings her, and he's like, yeah, this is my girlfriend that I've told you all about, that I've had for forever, even though they had already broken up, but he hasn't told his family they've broken up, that kind of thing. I also read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. Super sweet. Again, I really like this one too. I want to look more into her. I would consider this another clean romance. Funny, so funny. I laughed out loud at this one like so many times, and like I said, I was listening to them on my earbuds just walking around the house, and when I would start laughing to it, my son would kind of look at me like, what are you laughing at, Mom? So funny, so good. What is this one about? The guy is like an NFL player, and it's another best friends to lovers. So he's an NFL player. They're in love with each other without telling each other that they're in love with each other. So it's one of those. I also read The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. This one was fine. I read this one physically on Libby because I needed something to read on Libby. And it's about twin sisters. One of them lives in like their small hometown where everybody knows everybody, and she runs their parents' bakery. The other one is in LA, and she's like a TV host on the Food Network type thing. She gets a concussion, so she's like, hey, I can't smell or taste the food, and I'm like a judge on this cooking show. Can you please swap places with me? That way I don't get fired. So they switch places. One of those swap-a-roo type things. It was fine. It was fine. Not one of my most favorites. I also listened to The Tourist Attraction. This is actually a series. I've only read the first one by Sarah Morgan Thaler, maybe? Fine. This guy runs what's called the Tourist Trap, which is just like a restaurant. And they live in like a touristy town in Alaska, but all of the townies don't like the tourists in their town because they cause a lot of trouble and stuff like that. And he's always sworn that he's not going to hook up with any tourists or something. And then lo and behold, the female protagonist comes in, and he's like, wow, she's pretty, she's cute, she's quirky, I like her. And well, you know, there you go. I listened to The People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Was not too impressed by this one. I feel like I see this one a lot. Not too impressed by it. I think it's fairly new. 2 best friends love each other. Something happens and they fall apart, and then they're brought back together for another vacation. Every year they go on vacation. Every summer they go on vacation together. Something happens, they stop going on vacation together for like 2 years. They don't talk to each other for like 2 years, and then they go on one last vacation together and finally admit their feelings and blah, 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 blah. Not enough of the calm for me. I want the comedy and the rom-coms. I don't want them to be like, I don't know, not sad, but like serious. I don't want that. This one was more serious than I liked. All right, Never Fall for Your Fiance. Apparently this is another series. I looked at it. I don't know if any of the other ones are out, or if maybe my library just didn't have the other ones. This is the Merriwell Sisters. This is by Virginia Heath. So in this one, we're in like Regency, England, London. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm not good at geography. Anyway, so we're there, you know, back in old times, and this poor old woman is on the street, and she's pleading with this man. She's like, hey, you owe me money, please give it to me. And he's like, no, I'm not going to pay you yet. I'll pay you when I pay you. And then the male protagonist comes up, and he's like, hey, give this woman her money. And he like saves her because she's poor, so that money was really important. And meanwhile, all this time he's been lying to his mother, like, yeah, Mom, I've been engaged. Wait, is this the right one? Yeah, this is the right one. Sorry, I read a couple of like Regency type things. Okay, anyways, I'm in the right one. So, so the whole time he's told his mom that he's been engaged to this other woman, and his mom is like, hey, I'm going to come visit you. So he's like scrambling, trying to find a fake fiance, and he sees this poor woman, and he's like, hey, pretend to be my fiance for me. I will pay you. I know you're poor. I'll pay you a lot of money to pretend to be my fake fiance. And so she does. you can guess the rest from there. It's not too hard. All right, next we have another one that I wasn't too crazy about. We have Beach Read by Emily Henry. Basically two authors, okay? They live beside each other. I think it's Lake Michigan, on the beach of Lake Michigan. Her dad just died. She's going through it. She's having a tough time writing this book. The guy next door she went to college with is kind of an enemies to lovers, but he was never really her enemy. He was always like into her type thing, but she thought that they were in competition against each other. Anyways, so yeah, they become neighbors. She realizes, hey, that guy I didn't like in college, that's my neighbor now, and they make this bet. She writes romances, he writes not romances, just literary fiction, I guess. And she's like, hey, I bet you can't write a romance. And he's like, hey, I bet you can't write a regular one. And so they swap genres and try to write the other person's genre. Again, though, I thought about DNFing this book. I'm not going to lie. It was not for me. I don't know where the calm comes in. I don't know where the comedy comes in. It was not funny enough for me. It was too serious for me. But I know a lot of people have liked this one. It's just not for me. My daughter's awake. Give me a second. Guys, she's getting so big. You see that baby? You see her? You see that baby? Yeah. She's chunky girl. Alright, anyways, let's get through this. I'm almost done. Alright, next I started another series that I really enjoyed called the Bromance Book Club. I have found, I've mentioned this before, I really enjoy books that give me the male protagonist point of view. These are focused on the males. In this book club, all the guys who have had like marriage troubles read romance books to try to learn from them and learn how to treat their women. So in this one, our main character is like a baseball player or something like that, and his wife has asked him for a divorce, and he's having a hard time, and all of his buddies come and they're like, hey man, we're going to help you save your marriage, we're going to help you get your wife back. And they take him into their book club where they just read romance books, and they call them the manuals, so they use those to learn how to treat women. Hilarious. Love them. A little more explicit, be forewarned, but so funny. All right, the next one is the other like Regency one that I read. It was To Love and to Loathe by Martha Waters, right? Martha Waters. And this one, what is it? Our main female protagonist is young but widowed. She married an old man, and he kicked the bucket, and she has been kind of against, like fighting against our male protagonist. It's an enemies to lovers type thing, and he is notorious for being a scoundrel and just, you know, living his life freely, we'll say, with whomever he would like. And so she married an old man and now has a similar kind of freedom, and is like, I need some practice. So they come to an agreement to practice with each other. Didn't love it. It was fine. Next I read Love at First Spite by Anna E. Collins, another colleague work romance type thing. He's a grump, and she's always thought he's a grump, but lo and behold, he's not too much of a grump. It starts out though she had been engaged to someone else and found out he was cheating on her, so she breaks off the wedding and she decides to buy the lot next to the house that they purchased together. They were buying a house together when they were engaged, and she was like, hey, let's buy the lot next to it and we can build like an art studio type thing for myself. She likes to make textile type stuff, and he refused to do it. And so after they break up, she's like, well, he didn't take my money. Like, she wanted to go half and half, that way like they split everything, you know, they were getting ready to get married, and he didn't take her wishes into consideration at all, and her name wasn't even like on the mortgage or anything. And so since she didn't have that obligation, since they didn't do that, she had her savings, and so she buys the lot next to the house and she builds a spite house. She builds a house that's tall, that way he can't see the beautiful view. I think they live in Seattle. of Seattle. It kind of blocks his view, and all the racket and stuff makes him mad, and blah, 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 blah. She tries to make it, like, full of things that she knows he won't like, just to spite him. So, and then the work colleague is an architect, and so he's the one who helps her design the house and stuff like that. So that's what that one was about. All right, last but not least, this video is too long. Last but not least, Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. Again, she wrote The Hating Game. I like The Hating Game. I did not like this one really at all. At all. I thought about DNFing it more than once, but I didn't have anything else to listen to at the time. All the other books I wanted to listen to were not available yet. I've been recording so long that my camera made me stop. I had to start a new video. Anyways, in this one I didn't like the characters, is really what it all boils down to. Our main character, I don't know. She was spineless, I guess, a little bit. And I don't know, I didn't care much for her. And our main male protagonist was kind of selfish. Of course, all that changes at the end, you know, character development. But overall, not my thing. Not my thing. So there we go. Those are all the books that I read in March. Whopping pile of books that I read in March, and I'm so happy about it. A lot of rom-coms. I foresee myself sticking with the rom-coms. Maybe not as many. Already this month I've kind of branched out a little bit. I haven't been reading quite as many, but I do think I found a new love for them, and I plan to keep reading them, especially when I need a break from like a lot of the fantasy type stuff that I read. So new love for rom-coms. Most books I've ever read in a month. So happy. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to subscribe down below and leave a comment. Let me know how many books you read in March. Let me know if you had a good month, a bad month. I hope April goes better for you if you had a bad month. I think it's going to go a little worse for me. I don't really know how it can get any better than March did, but that's okay. Goodness. Anyways, you guys are awesome. I am so thankful for you, and we'll be back here next time, guys. See ya. Can you say see ya? Are you trying to eat my shoulder? Are you trying to eat my shoulder? Are you trying to eat my shoulder? You're so cute. You're so cute. I love you. You're pulling my hair. You're pulling my hair.